So I'm sorry for the poor lighting, first of all, and also just kind of the way I'm going to be talking and the condition that I look like right now. It is the end of the day. I have been up since 5 in the morning because I have an 8 a.m. class, but we're going to power through this. Looking at the views for my videos, I have a sizable amount of views, but I would definitely say that I don't think I have a real audience. I don't think I have people that regularly tune in for what it is that I talk about because I don't upload regularly. But if you can read the title, you can probably hazard a guess based on my other videos that I got into medical school and that it was a process and that I'm really happy about it. But with that being said, I've noticed with every acceptance video that people do, they always tell the story of how they got in, but they never really tell you what it's like to get in. And that's kind of what I'd like to accomplish with this because feelings are a little bit harder to quantify, and I've always been more interested with trying to do the more difficult thing. So to start, I guess I should give you, before anything else, my stats. Not because they're particularly pertinent, but because I want to prove a point about something. My GPA is a 3.41, and I scored a 504 on the MCAT, and I got into an American medical school. So yeah, it's good to get good grades, and yeah, it's good to get a high MCAT score, but you don't always need them. And if you can just get that secondary, or if you have a really good personal statement, it can make a radical difference in whether or not you get in. And also just getting to that interview, if you get to that interview, that's really where they find out who you are. And they really want to know who you are and if you're a good fit for their school. But enough of that jargon. I want to make a whole separate video about the issues with pre-med, in America at least. I can't speak about other countries. But a week ago today, I got waitlisted from my dream school, the school I was sure I was going to get into. I only went to the other interview that I had. I got offered 3, and I turned down 1, so I ended up going to 2. This other school that I went to, I didn't go for fun. I went because it was like a super historical school, and there was a lot of like really cool stuff around it, and I just wanted to go. I wanted to say that I went, and it was my first plane flight. It was my first time traveling really at all, let alone alone. But I thought there was no way in hell I was going to get into that school because there was a 4% chance from the second I submitted my application that I could get in. And then when I went in for the interview, it was sitting at like a 39% chance for interviewees to get accepted. And the school that I was sure I was going to get into, I had a 55% chance of getting accepted to. And in my waitlist email, they said, expect to not get accepted this round. And that devastated me for 2 reasons. One, I thought I was in love with this school. And 2, I really didn't want to take a gap year for a multitude of reasons that I'm not going to get into in this video. But regardless, the other school, the harder one to get into, accepted me. And I remember opening this email. I was sitting in the cafeteria at my work because we have like a food court attached to it. And I was waiting for it to open so I could get lunch. And I'd just taken 2 quizzes online for 2 different classes. And I got 100 on both of them without trying, which was really weird because that never happens to me. Because one of them you have to read a chapter from a book before taking it, and I didn't read the chapter. But by chance on my phone screen, I saw that I had a notification, and I just swiped down like that to view it, and it said, whatever school admissions. And then I looked at it and it said, congratulations. And they don't say congratulations unless you get in. So I knew I was in. No one's ever like, congratulations, you're on the wait list. And in that moment, I guess the best way I can describe it is it felt like taking off a weighted jacket. It felt like taking off like the weighted blankets that they sell that help people with like anxiety and sleep disorders and like autism spectrum disorders. My brother owns one. Taking that off and having worn it for years, and then you can just move way faster, and you can touch things you didn't think you could touch before, and you can go places you didn't think you could go before because you're not carrying that weight with you. For 3 years now, I had been carrying the weight of, oh, what if I don't get in? Oh, I'm not good enough to get in. Oh, my GPA isn't high enough. And then after my friend died, things really amplified because I was thinking, oh, if she were here today, like, would she really be proud of me for this XYZ? And I was playing up things in my head, and those were gone. It felt like if you had another good way to think about it is like if I left a radio on in the corner of my room day and night for 3 years, anytime I tried to study, the volume on the radio would increase. Anytime I went to open an exam score, the volume on the radio would increase wildly. And then you just pulled the plug on that radio, and it was quiet for the first time. And I just remember I started laughing and crying at the same time. Because I just didn't think this day would come. And to get it a week to the day after getting told no by a school that I thought was perfect for me, and then getting this and rethinking that and realizing, no, this is where I need to be, was insane. And it made me feel like all of my hard work finally meant something. And to work so hard and to not see results for so long was so frustrating. But realizing that it wasn't about those short-term issues was kind of insane. I was a swimmer in high school, and I remember we would always do all these distance exercises, but I was a sprint swimmer, and I was always so confused by it. Until one day they asked me to sub in for the 200 free, which is not a super fast distance race. It's like the lowest level of distance. And I remember getting in the water and I raced it, and I wasn't in like a super high heat or anything. I wasn't in the best spot I could be in because they knew I wasn't good at it. But to get out of the water and realize that I was a lap ahead of everybody else was insane. And that's really where I am right now. And it's kind of a crazy place to be in. This morning, I was working out at the gym on campus at my school before it started. And afterwards, I didn't have time to run home and get my protein powder. So I got a protein shake, or I tried to at least, from the vending machine. And it wouldn't accept my card. We have like ones that can take debit cards. And so I went to the other vending machine. The other vending machine also wasn't working right. It wasn't a problem with my card. It was a problem with the actual vending machines. But the second one, for some reason, gave me $1.25 in quarters, even though it didn't accept my card because it said, like unable to vend, transaction canceled. So I got $1.25 in quarters out of nowhere. And I just didn't understand what that meant. And then an hour later, I got into this school, and it just felt like those two things meant the same thing. So I don't really know where to end with this. I don't know what to say with this. I don't want this video to go over 20 minutes or 20 minutes. I don't want it to go over 10 minutes because I'm super tired. But imagine you try to buy something and it won't accept your card. And you just can't get this thing you want. And then out of nowhere, you're given the money to pay for it. That's exactly what it feels like to get accepted to medical school. After failing so hard and falling short so hard and being told no for so long, to get in on your first try and not have to take a gap year when that wasn't what you wanted to do. When there were people that on paper looked like way better candidates, but they just lacked something that I happened to have. It feels like getting $1.25 out of thin air. It really does.